Hello, everyone. Let's see, I believe we have a few more joining, but we'll go ahead and get started. You are the ones who are on time. Give yourselves a round of applause. Well done. So one quick note, and somebody asked about it in the chat line. How do I play music? And I love playing music in my classroom. I love the atmosphere that it creates. I love going into professional developments when there's music going on. It just has an effect that I personally really appreciate. And on this, I can sort of create that same effect through Zoom when I share my screen. There's a little option where you can share audio. If you do it on an iPad, it's right there on the screen that you can press a button to share your audio, and on a MacBook or a PC, there's a little click button that you can select. But it's really nice. I just put up the Google slide, mute my audio, and just play whatever comes to the computer. And so I'll just play something through iTunes. But that's a nice way during those moments where it's starting and people are checking in, where if you're doing that with your students, you don't even have to be tied to the screen either. And so you can kind of let that happen naturally and give them some instruction. As we start, if you wouldn't mind just typing your name into the chat line, first and last name into the chat line, and I'm going to use that for attendance to make sure everybody gets credit for attending this. All right, thank you. For those of you, if anybody just joined, hey Claudia, great to see you too, even though I don't see you, but knowing you're here, it's good to know that. Hey, there you are. So let's jump in. So to start, I wanted just to show you an example of a video that I've done, all using Screen Recorder. And so let's go to that now. All right, this is my YouTube channel, and these are some of the videos I've created. By the way, I hadn't created a single YouTube video before all of this happened. Let me turn this up. Okay. Take out a pencil and paper to copy down today's lesson target. Feel free to pause the video if you need a second, flip those out, and copy it down. Ready to start this journey? Let's go. Today we begin Chapter 10 with Lesson 10.1.1. What is the length of the diameter? Introduction to chords. Here, in Chapter 8, you learned that the introduction, and then followed by going through, this is for CPM geometry, one particular lesson in the ebook. Diameter of a circle is the distance across the center of the circle. This length can easily be found in Africa and Australia. Before we continue, let's watch a brief video that will tell us more about this remarkable tree.
The baobab tree is a dominant force on the African landscape and the world's largest.
So that's a video I just played on YouTube while doing the screen recorder, and it was captured onto my video. Okay, and so A, hopefully you're able to print that resource page If not, you can always just use a compass or one of the DIY life hacks. And then you can do your own classroom doing these same problems that you're working on right now. Video. And then again, using screen completed circle, and we've drawn a radius. If you haven't done so yourself, hit pause and it's 10 feet of the actual. What can we do to our scale model to find the actual radius? Hit pause and try and find it. So all of that was done using this default screen recorder on your iOS device, iOS being iPad and or iPhone. And so how do you enable that? So I'm going to show you how to enable it. So at this point, if you have that other device handy where you can watch this and do it on that device, that would be great. If not, then you can just try to check in and follow along if you have to do it on the same device. If at any time you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself and ask. If I'm in the middle of something and you want to just enter it into the chat line, that would be great as well. How is my audio right now? Am I loud enough? Thumbs up if I'm loud enough. Good. Okay. So here's how you turn on your screen recorder. I'm going to, again, share my screen. All right, so if you go to your settings, click on settings on your phone or iPad. And you want to go right under general, you'll see control center. Under control center, you'll want to hit customize controls. And then this comes up. And so here's where all of these show up. If you swipe down, like in the latest models of the iPads and iPhones, you swipe from the top right and you get this little menu. In older models, you swipe up from the bottom and you get that menu. So this right here, I'm going to take a screenshot. This right here is where everything that's up here goes. And then everything down below here, I can add to this, so it will then also go into this menu. I'll show you what I mean. So right now, you probably have screen recording down below in this section. If you click the plus sign, so say I wanted to add a flashlight, I'm going to click plus for flashlight, and now notice it's up above. Now when I select that menu, I now have that little flashlight icon right here because I just added it. So all you do is you add your screen recording and just make sure screen recording is up in this section. Once you have that, then it should show up here as that little circle with the dot inside of it. You'll notice mine is blinking right now. That's because it is actively recording. Yours, when you swipe down, if it's not actively recording, will be you know, white and gray with that gray background, just like the other icons there. Okay. So that last video I showed you was something that I've created. Like I said before, I didn't do a single video before the week of March 13th, whenever the school closure happened. And I realized, hey, our students are going to need some asynchronous video lessons for our CPM curriculum, and there isn't a lot out there. And so I just started recording and creating these, working with our curriculum specialist and another team of video creators. And so I've gone through this steep learning curve of figuring this stuff out, and I'm still figuring new things out all the time. This screen recorder, when this happened, it's the most natural way for me to do this because it mirrors everything that's on my screen. And so if I hit screen record, let me share my screen again. So just like I did in that one video, I was on this lesson, and whatever is on the screen. So right now, if I'm doing screen recorder, it is recording this in a video. If I want to edit this on an iPad, I take a screenshot of it, which on an iPad, you press the top home button and one of the volume buttons. It's kind of different on each device, and I can simply edit it right here by doing different things there. Or I can export it to Notability, which is the primary app that I use for annotating. And so I just exported it to Notability, and now I'm going to go to my Notability app, and at the top you'll see imported file. That's what I just imported. And so when I'm recording these, I'll usually get this ready before screen recording, so it's just ready for me to go through and do it. But right now I can write any notes I want to. On here, I can draw shapes. That didn't really work. And so it's just a nice app for doing that. Now, say I want to record something I'm doing with my camera. So I go like this. Now, as you're seeing right now, if I wanted to show this board to my students, so all I did just then is I put on the camera app. But as you'll notice, everything is backwards because it's just mirroring what shows on my screen. And so in order to fix this, there is an app called Photo Flipper. You'll see it right here. And Photo Flipper is really convenient because I can swipe either way on the screen and it will change the way my screen mirrors what it's showing. And so right now it's a reflection horizontally. I could do it vertically. I don't know why I would ever want to do it vertically except to make my students dizzy. But if you ever wanted to do that, it's available for you. And so again, while the screen recorder is going, it's just recording. And so if I wanted to talk and write something on the board, I could do that, and it's picking it up. And if I wanted to switch from that and said, okay, so in this problem, you're going to do blah, blah, blah. Let me show you. I just go to the Notability app. I don't have to press pause or stop or do any kind of editing. It's right there because the screen recorder is simply showing everything that is on my screen. And let me get back to Zoom. And so that is basically, those are the basics of using screen recorder the way I've done. I'll show you my first video, and if you're kind of overwhelmed, and I'm doing all this from my iPad. Someone just asked that in chat. One last thing I'm going to show you before just opening it up to general questions is the very first instructional video I created. And so I'll need your grace ahead of time. It's very low budget. And one thing I did notice is my videos can be so boring. And so as much as I can add in, if it's just another YouTube, or if it's going from camera to Notability, it just makes it a little bit more interesting. And so this first one, I pretended like I was the old painter Bob Ross. And so I will show you that right now. Oh, sorry, forgot to share. Here we go. There we go. Hey boys and girls, Bob Ross here. Thanks for joining me. Well, as you know, they say, time flies when you're having fun. Well, get ready for time to fly, because we're going to have a lot of fun doing algebra. Okay, as you know, this is a video, which means so you can stop it, start it, rewind, fast forward, take a break, use it as you need it. There are going to be times when I have you do a little work or read something for a brief moment, and I'm going to have you pause the video, do it, and then come back in. Okay? Now, as you see, we're in lesson 7.1.2, so if you'd like to get your Chromebook out and follow along, I'm going to be going through the lesson as well, so it's not necessary, but if you'd like to have your own device. Here's where you see where I transition. Pretty good. Just by let's start. Between apps. And there you go. Lesson 7.1.2. What? Just like I'm doing right now. Someone asked, how do you switch between apps? Again, that varies by device. On my iPhone, I have the one without the button, so you just slide up from the top and it shows all the apps. Same thing on the iPad, you swipe up from the bottom and it shows the apps. Some of them, if you have the little button at the bottom, you double click, or if on an iPad, you have that home button, you double click on it, and the different apps pop up where you can just quickly navigate from one app to the other. At this point, I will open it up for questions. And there are a few other apps that I wanted to mention to you before we ended, but I've done a lot of talking up until this point, so I would like to open it up if you have any questions or if anything needs clarifying. All right.
I have my iPad here, and this is the
Yes.
iPad.
Yep.
But when I swipe up for the control center, I don't know if you can see, but these are my only options. And I don't see those options that you had for the screen recorder. So I don't know if my iPad can do that.
Did you go to Control Center under Settings?
Yes.
And was screen recorder one of the options there?
No, because I didn't even see those settings that you had.
Have you updated to the latest version?
I tried it right now and it says it's updated.
Okay. Keep playing with that, and if it doesn't work, I will stay on with you.
Yeah, see, I don't have that thing to flip it, but on the control center, those are my only two options. I don't see anything else about how to customize.
Can you maybe hold that a little bit closer to the screen? I can't really read. Let me see. Okay. All right. Is anybody else having that same problem? If you just maybe type in yes in the chat, if you're having that same problem, that way I'll know if I should address that right now or address that individually with Evelyn. Okay. All right, Kirby, you're updating too. Okay. So let me shelve that and then we'll get back to making sure you can access that. One thing to check before is if you go under restrictions, sometimes screen recording is restricted. If it's under if it's the newest iOS, it would be under screen time, that screen time settings. Restricting screen recording is one of the options there. And I had another participant in a previous PD have that issue, and she just had to lift that restriction. If that's not it, then I'm sure there's a way we can get it on there. Real quick, Evelyn, can you find out which software version you have on there? Which iOS?
It says 9.3.5.
Okay.
And it says your software is up to date.
Excellent. Okay. We are going to get back to that. Let me just see if there are other questions. Claudia, you said, would I recommend using a microphone? Can you elaborate on that?
Can you see me?
Yep.
Okay. I have a loud household, so I've got 2 kids at home, and right now they're on the iPad, but I know pretty soon they're going to start to look for mama. Do you recommend using a microphone, or what can I do to eliminate the background noise?
I have not gotten that far. If you have access to a good microphone, I have a friend who is an English professor at a university, and he does a lot of reading of literature. And so he has this nice microphone to just pick up all the nuances of his voice and hopefully eliminate background noise. But if, you know, I would imagine that would help, but that's not something I've personally tried.
So you didn't use anything else? Your audio sounds great.
Oh, good. Yeah. So that's all just from the iPad.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, Maureen, you cannot find the photo flipper. I'll I'll do a quick screen share and go to the App Store. And it's that first one that says selfie mirror. Right there, this one right here. So I don't know if maybe on your device it's not coming up, but okay. Pamela, you're lost. Okay. This will be recorded. This will be recorded, and I will send it out for people to watch. I know I went through quickly, and I'm covering a lot in a relatively short period of time, and so don't feel bad about that. I will stay on if anybody needs to stay on and ask some of those questions. If you need me to slow down and go back over something, I'm more than happy to. I'll just make sure the majority is covered, and then those who need to stay a little bit back, we'll go over it again. The name of the app I used for my intro to my CPM lesson. And so did everybody get the email I got with the links for this class? One of them was a Google Doc. One of them was a Google Doc that has a number of resources on it, which that also provides step-by-step instructions for setting up screen recorder, step-by-step instructions for going between apps. There's a link for that. And then one of the links I provided in that Google Doc is for something called Animaker, which I use to create that animation. Now, I'm not going to use this training to show you how to do that, but just to tell you that's one of the ones I use. That's not an app. It's through a web browser, but you can do it on your device or your PC or your MacBook. But it's really cool, and I did all that for free. The free version just keeps their little logo on it. But I provided a link in that too with a tutorial on how to create videos using Animaker. Absolutely, you can share these resources with your staff. Okay, you got a message that iPad is not compatible with Photo Flipper. Yeah, then I'm sure maybe there's another app, Evelyn, that works with yours. If you type Photo Flipper, there are a couple of other camera apps like that will allow you to flip it and reflect it. So maybe while we're on, see if there's one that works with your version of iPad. Let's see.
I have a couple of questions. I took so long to type mine that there are already new ones on there. So one, I know you use Notability to take the screenshot of the book page. Is that something that's already on our iPads, or is that something we need to add?
No, good question. That is something you need to add. I believe it's about $9 or so for that app, but it's a really, really nice app. There are two that are the most popular note-taking apps, Notability and then one called Good Notes. And with the latest additions, Notability is the front runner in terms of functionality and user-friendliness. As a math teacher, one of the really cool things is being able to draw a crude circle and it automatically creates a perfect circle, or using your pen to create a rectangle, and if you hold it down, it creates a perfectly drawn rectangle with straight lines. And so little things like that are cool features of that app.
I noticed that. And
yeah.
but Even before you went to Notability, you pulled up that palette where you were using annotation tools. How do you access that on an iPad?
So that is just using a screenshot on my device. I take a screenshot by clicking the top and the side button, and that just creates that little shot of whatever was on the screen at that time. I click that, and then there are all of those annotation tools where I can just annotate on that. That's a great tool that's really quick to use if you're doing synchronous instruction over Google Meet or Zoom with your class.
Thanks.
All right, Maria, you said, can I clarify how I used screen mirroring? Yes, can you maybe help me understand exactly what you mean by that? If you don't mind unmuting. Are you able to unmute yourself?
Yes, hi. So I noticed that when you went to the your phone and then you pull up the menu from the bottom, you tap on screen mirroring, but I didn't know why you did that. Since you're just to record a screen or to photograph a screen, we just need to click on the circle for recording or photographing. So why the screen mirroring?
You know what? It maybe looked like I clicked on that. I may have done that on accident, but that was not intentional. You don't need to use screen mirroring when doing this. Thank you for clarifying. Yeah, screen mirroring, I would only use in a live classroom where I'm actually in a classroom with students and I want my screen projected onto the projector. But that's for a totally different training. But yes, yeah, screen mirroring is not involved here.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Is the screen recording need to be activated? Because it has a big red dot next to mine, and I've been clicking on it, nothing happened.
Okay. Is it red or is it like grayed out? Is it gray and white or is it red?
It's red when I add it to the control center.
Huh. Okay. Can you maybe show me your tools in your control center? Okay. Oh yeah, it's red there. Now is when you, does your iPhone have the little button at the bottom or the kind without the button?
Bottom at the bottom. Yeah.
Okay. So whatever you have to do. So now that it's there, so in mine, I'll swipe down from the top right.
Okay.
And it now pulls up those tools.
Yes.
And you'll see it there. So on yours, I'm guessing you swipe up from the bottom and it will create. There it is.
Yeah.
And there's the button right there.
Yes. So that in order for it to work, so I need to activate that. I need to type
so
on
right
it.
now, if you click that button, you should get a countdown that goes 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, okay.
And then at that point, whatever is showing on your screen is getting recorded. And then when you're finished, it will just save it into your photos.
I see. Okay. And when I finish, I just click it back and then that's it, right?
Yep. Yeah, when you're done with it, you just click that button again and it will turn it off.
Perfect. It says that. Yeah. Okay. And not all the phone has the flip gray theme. I'm sorry, flip.
Photo flipper.
Photo.
I know.
Yeah. So
there are so many apps and resources that we're just being, kind of inundated with. But there's a lot of good stuff out there, but it's difficult because it seems to be something new every day. But yes, photo flipper.
Yeah. Not all the phone has it.
Okay, so that one's not working with the on the phone.
No, I don't find it.
You weren't able to find it?
No.
Okay. All right. I'm going to check in with that one too, because that's the the second or third one who's had an issue with that. So I'm just shelving. I'm parking some of these questions. Not if there are questions that everybody has, then I'll do it now. If not, I'm just going to park it and then I'm going to come back to it. A good stylus I recommend. Yes. So when this whole thing happened, I broke my old iPad, and in my new job as an instructional coach, I wasn't using it on a daily basis for instruction like I did in the classroom. I use my iPad every day in the classroom, but as an instructional coach, I would be able to use my phone or do things to help teachers use theirs. But once this happened and I knew I needed to do these recorded videos, I just went and bought a new iPad at Best Buy and dropped a good chunk of change, and I got an Apple Pencil. And so iPad and Apple Pencil, that's why you can see how smoothly I write. Yes, it costs money, but it writes like pen and paper. So let me see. I did that. Before that, there are varying qualities of styluses that work, but they don't match the same smoothness that an Apple Pencil will give you on an iOS device. If you have an older device, though, I would recommend making sure that before buying an Apple Pencil, that your device, whichever software you have, which iOS software you have, is compatible with one of the Apple Pencils. Great question. Thank you, Brenda. Yes, you need to activate the mic or it will not record the voice. And so let me show you this here. I'm going to share my screen again. All right, so say I wanted to do a screen recording. So I pull down that menu, and if you hold on it, down at the bottom, do you see where it says microphone on? So you can turn that off or on. You definitely want to turn it on if you are going to be speaking during your video. And then once you do that and you click to start recording, it will pick up your audio as well. Thank you, Brenda, for bringing that up. Oh.
Can you show that? So before you turn on the mic, you pulled down the menu that allowed you to access screen. Can you show us where that was again? How you did that?
Yeah, so depending on, it's different in the later iOS, like 10 plus, 10, 11, 12. It's at the top right of your screen. It's not the middle. If you do the middle, let me share again. So right now, right now I'm swiping from the middle. And so that's what the middle shows me. But if I swipe from the top right, it brings up this menu. On mine, if I swipe from the bottom, it opens up the different apps that I have opened in the background. On older devices, oftentimes you swipe up from the bottom middle to access that set of tools from the control center.
If you have on Joy iPad, will it work as well?
Android?
Yes.
You can do screen recording from an Android or a PC, but it's a totally different process.
Okay.
on a PC, you actually, and I'm not going to get into this deeply, but you basically use, if it's a Microsoft device, you use what's called the gaming control center. And so if you wanted to do a Google search on that screen recording, Pamela, don't worry about it. This is not something you need to memorize at this point. But if for those of you who are wondering, can I do this on a PC? It is possible. But you use the Microsoft Gaming Control Center.
Because I have an iPhone, but I do have, I think I have an Android iPad.
Yeah, an Android tablet. Yeah,
Yes,
I
tablet,
would. I haven't tested this with an Android tablet. I would imagine there's a way. I would just do some Google searches with your particular type of tablet on, and just say whatever type it is, Android tablet screen recording. And I bet you'll get some good information.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the photo flipper, and for some of you who aren't able to enable or even find on your control center, I'm going to do that at the end. Before we do that, a couple of apps that are really, really user-friendly and helpful for editing. Now, that first video I did with Bob Ross, I did 0 editing on that. I just went from app to app. I didn't cut out anything. And that was nice because once I was done, it was ready to go. But it wasn't very clean. Now, if you want it to be clean, you can use an app that is default on iOS called iMovie. I will show it to you. Do not be overwhelmed by what it looks like. Let me show this. I keep forgetting to share my screen. Here we go. So these are all the different videos I've done. And so here's an example of that video. So you can see in this, now if I wanted to add another video to this, so I have this string of videos. If I wanted to add another video, up at the top right, I just click video, and say I wanted to add this video right here. And so these are all, this is just showing me the recent videos I've created, and then I would hit plus, and it just added that to my video. I could then shorten it, cut stuff off the end. I can do a lot of things. I can hit this microphone over on the left. You see that microphone next to the camera icon? And I could record my voice while it's going. So I'm not going to do really any more in iMovie now. There's a link on the Google Doc. There's a link in the Google Doc I sent with instructions on getting started with iMovie that you can check out in your spare time. But iMovie is built into your iOS device, and it's really simple and straightforward. And the more you play with it and you get used to it, the more you'll see some of these the new easy features that it has, where you can add some music in the background, or you can add a little audio clip, or just some of those things that seem pretty complicated, but iMovie makes it quite simple. Any other apps? Those are really, in order to not completely overwhelm you, those are the primary apps that I'll mention in this training. Notability, Photo Flipper, which we're going to see if there's a replacement for that because some of the devices apparently aren't supporting it, and iMovie. I want to show you one other nice feature with one of the videos I've done before closing it out, just to show you what's possible with this. If you look here, so now I'm doing the camera, but it's not in selfie mode. It's facing down at the desk. But since the screen recorder is recording what's on my screen, I didn't have to click record or anything on this video. It's just recording what's showing up on my screen. And here I'm just using the default camera app on the iPhone. Did you even see that? I don't think I shared. You didn't see that, sorry. I apologize. See, that's when you would unmute and let me know instead, but you were too kind. All right, now let's do this again. I apologize. So here we have our hinged mirror. So again, this is a video
hinged
I was
mirrors
doing,
to
and
prove
you'll
our
see
properties.
Here, I
Let's do so.
swipe down, but that time when I swiped down, I clicked the camera tool. And so I'm just
here we
using
have
the default
our hinged mirror,
camera
our colored paper.
on my iPad.
And if you remember, if we make this angle wider or more narrow, it changes the number of sides and the shape showing in the mirror. Now, what should that central angle be in order to create a rhombus?
This part of the activity.
Well, I'm going to take a note card here, and we should know that the corner of a note card is 90 degrees. And when I do this, what shape is formed? We can see that that forms a rhombus. Well, is it always going to be a rhombus? Let me turn the mirrors like this.
So it's just a neat
here
thing that can be done by simply
you can see it's
recording your screen and showing anything that your screen shows.